Happy Friday, everybody. It's finally Friday. This week went by super fast, and we are dropping her off to school. And then I think today her dad already messaged saying that he's gonna pick her up, so we'll see. But today is Hayden's senior night, and so me, Mary, and I think Julie's gonna go because Naomi and her husband's at EDC, so they won't be here for her senior night, so that's why we're gonna go. And I will try to record it because she's gonna be doing a presentation. So yeah, Mama, you ready for school? Is her ready? Okay guys, so today is Hayden's senior night and I'm just getting ready for it. I just got done doing my makeup. I'm about to do my hair. I don't know what I'm gonna wear yet, but it's something casual. I showered earlier, so my hair's still wet, but I just finished my makeup, so I'm gonna go ahead and start on my hair, and I'll see you guys when I'm ready and we are on our way.
This is our project. It's called the Heart Project.
My name is Christine Shen.
My name is Ashlyn Brar.
My name is Alana Lamontre.
I'm Brittany Wong, and I'm Hayden Chow.
And Heart Project was our senior project / CAS project. CAS stands for Creativity, Action, and Service. It's part of the IB diploma program that is provided at our school, and we're all IB students, so we did that version, which is why we had a collaborative style service project. And with Heart Project, we were able to spread love one bag at a time. So we can agree that projects, they require steps. It's quite impossible to do any project without steps, unless you're a robot. So we would love to present to you in an aesthetic way of steps that we took part of during the Heart Project, which is the planning, action, and reflection. So why don't we have Brittany Wong present our planning?
So originally we wanted to focus more around drug awareness. However, due to other senior projects already doing that, we decided to shift more towards mental health and accessibility of school supplies. After getting that ground basis, we started brainstorming on what exactly were we going to do. As you can see in the most left image, there's a lot of different bullet points of different things that we could include in goodie bags, because we wanted to make goodie bags to distribute around the community. After brainstorming all of that, we then contacted teachers and staff to place little baskets in their rooms so students were able to freely grab them whenever they want. In addition to that, we also assigned each member their own assignment, which is shown by this picture right here in the bottom. There's different people sending out messages, there's people making posters, and there's people who pays for the stuff that we pack. And
As for the location of our CAP project, we decided to stay more local in the area because it would be more easier to place out the baskets and posters. Since we were planning to do it, change it weekly, we figured we should just try to start closer in the area. So we started at Intercom High School. We asked our teachers around the school if we could place the baskets and put up posters. And we also put it in the counseling office to have more variety of students rather than just classes that we had, so we get more grade levels. later on we tried to expand out to a little bit further, like maybe other schools within the district that's still close to us that we can like change it weekly. But it was a bit difficult to kind of email other schools. So we just decided to settle for the North Potomac Library because it's right next to our school and we can easily change it weekly.
So a typical day of our project, this was more like a weekly cycle as we started new at the beginning of each week. So at the beginning of each week, we would create these baggies. We started off the first week by working in the library together as a group. However, we realized that this wasted around 3 hours of all of our time, and it wasn't the most effective way to make these baggies. So we decided to split the supplies on every Monday into 5, and we would go home or make it whenever we had time, and we would bring back the made baggies on Tuesday. This allowed us to make sure that the baggie making was split equally, and also, as we're all pretty busy students, we didn't have a lot of time to be meeting after school every week. Then we would also make sure we would collect all the baggies and take inventory. It was really important to make sure we take inventory as we found that some of our classes had a lot more usage per se than other classes. For example, classes that had more grade levels and took more baggies. So we wanted to make sure that we had enough supplies to allot for refills throughout the week. Then we would put baggies in the classrooms where they were needed. We would refill each week and switch out the supplies with the new week's topic. And we would also make sure we would refresh the signs every week with the new information that we were providing. So this brings us to activities. One of our main topics that we would do was planning weekly ideas. We wanted to make sure that we weren't providing the same thing to our fellow classmates every week, so we would change up each week's ideas. For example, one of the weeks was growth mindset, the other week was focusing on coloring materials, etc. And this allowed us to, one, make sure we weren't overbuying supplies, as it didn't make sense to buy 100 different color cans if we were only use them for 1 week. And then we would also created the bags as I talked about earlier. And then we would also make sure that we made posters. One thing that we noticed after the first week was that there was a lack of communication between our project and people we were trying to reach, as people didn't know what the bags were about. They just saw a basket sitting on the side of the classroom and they didn't know if they were allowed to grab them, as they weren't sure if it was the teachers. So we made sure that we made posters, as you can kind of see in these two, this image, that explained what this project was and made sure that it was evident to people that they were allowed to grab it and it was completely free of cost, no questions asked. And then we also made sure that we distributed the bags. This was also something that we noticed that we had a bit of trouble at the beginning, as we had planned to do active distribution. However, it made more sense to just do passive distribution and people could grab it whenever they needed. And then we'd also make sure we hang up the posters.
Some other activities that we did is that we sent out surveys to receive feedback from the students. Receiving feedback is really important since the theme of the project is to spread awareness on mental health and also to relieve stress for students in school. So receiving these feedbacks can help us alter or like try to organize what items the students prefer and what we had to put in these baggies, and also to align the theme with what the students want. And we also check the inventory. For example, during the first week, our supplies focused more on color supplies, and then the second week we focused more on academic supplies. And after receiving feedback from the students, we learned that students prefer academic supplies since it's more helpful and it's also relevant to school. Students also told us that they often forget a pen or pencil at home, and it's really helpful to have those baggies there so they won't have to attend class without pens or pencils. And we also gave thanks to the teachers and staff that allowed us to put the baggies in the classrooms and also the library. So that's also a really important part.
And during this project, we all formed our favorite memories. For me, my favorite memory was refreshing the baskets and the baggies weekly. I personally enjoy activities that require organization, so this was a great outlet to express that passion. And it was also great to see the progress of our baggies, because by the end of the week, most of the inventory was quite low, so that meant that people were actually being comfortable with grabbing the bags. So it was great to see how people were, over time, grabbing bags and were feeling like, seeing that now there's like access to school supplies.
Alongside with people grabbing the bag, one I remember was seeing people with the supplies because it really proves that people really did like appreciate the baggies and they really appreciate the supplies. Like for example, my peers, like the coloring book wasn't that popular, but someone still used it, and I think it was really nice because it at least showed like some way of like relieving stress.
Similar to Hayden's favorite memory, my favorite memory was also, seeing people with our stuff, more specifically the fidgets we had every week. I specifically remember a student who had like a fidget keychain on their backpack, and I thought to myself like, wow, like I actually can't believe people are like using this. And like when I saw the keychain, it made me grin ear to ear. Some might see it as silly because something so like insignificant like could make me smile a lot, but to me it was a lot more than just a keychain. It was the fact that people were using our stuff and they found it helpful, and to know that that keychain could have possibly made their day or made them feel seen, that makes a like special connection in my heart and makes me really feel content.
Continuing with our favorite memories, I definitely think that my favorite memory was seeing classmates excited with the theme. I had fellow classmates coming up probably by the third week asking, oh, what's the new theme? Is it going to be more coloring? Is it going to be more squishies? And it was really exciting to see this. And I had definitely noticed that as senior year had started, a lot of people were very dejected. People were just trying to get through the school year. They didn't really care. They were just, finishing the motions, basically. And I think this definitely added a bit more spark to say back into our days, and definitely helped bring the classroom more alive. And I also thought it was funny to see students lining up to grab the supplies, especially in really busy classes. People would be lined up, and it was funny because it would be like a big line at the door, and everyone was trying to get in, and it was just a funny moment to see.
For me, one of my favorite memories is that I have students reaching out to me and showing their appreciation, because I usually post stories of me making the baggies and also promoting the project, and it's just really interesting seeing students texting me like, oh, I really appreciate it, this really made my day. And another of my favorite memories is that they also started showing interest, because when we started off the project, nobody knew what the project is about. They're just like, why is the bags in the classroom? And then by the end of the fourth week, students are spreading awareness and also coming up to us and telling us, oh yeah, this made us more aware of mental health. And I feel like it's really important since we connected the theme to what the students want.
So for our learning outcomes, one of the ones we shared was planning and initiating activities, because a lot of this project we have to collaborate together and really try to like initiate together, because we all have like our own timeline of like when we're busy and whatnot. So we have to plan weekly meetings where we would talk about what would the theme of the week be, and like when we would distribute the items, what would be the deadline for us to refill the baskets and change the posters. Another thing we did was also plan the items, like what if we're going to be reusing items or not, and also checking inventory once again. We also had to check during the week how we place, how many bags are still left within the week, and like see what's popular or not, because again, the coloring books, they were not that popular, so often at the end of the week there would still be a lot in different classes.
And some other learning outcomes was working collaboratively with others. As Hayden has mentioned, we worked with each other to balance out the distribution of work. So for example, Ashlyn was the theme/topic decider, so every week she would pick kind of the theme, so she picked like the growth mindset theme, and we would shape our baggies and the posters towards that theme. And for example, I was the inventory checker, so by the end of every week I would count how many bags are in every basket, and I would put it into a spreadsheet to make sure we have that data point. But also, we didn't just work collaboratively with each other, we also worked collaboratively with teachers and other adult members in the community by asking them to place the baskets inside their classrooms or in their locations that they technically own. And also working collaboratively with the students or the teens that we interact with who are going to be taking the baggies, because they could definitely just swipe the whole basket or rip our posters, but thankfully they were quite respectful and left it so other people could get the chance to grab a baggie. And we also definitely engaged in issues of global importance, for example, mental health awareness. Being prepared for a classroom is very important, and it can definitely be an insecurity for some individuals. So this project definitely highlighted the issue of accessibility to school supplies, especially as some schools don't receive a lot of funding to help out their students and their teachers. So this was a great way to highlight that issue while also making sure that people, the individuals in the Natomas community felt seen and they were able to be part of the classroom setting, because sometimes if a student didn't have a pencil or a pen, they probably wouldn't feel motivated to do the work. So this was a great way to make them more involved.
Yeah. Also, just one more thing about accessibility. We've definitely seen our own teachers kind of lack supplies closer to the end of the year. Our Spanish teacher, they get a limited amount of money to buy pens, and often they're very scrambling, and students are, asking one another for pens. And this was definitely something that we saw within our classes, which is why we decided to act on it.
And now we're going to be talking about our personal growth. So for me, I definitely feel an increase in experience in management and leadership. I already have a job, so this definitely built my skills of existing management and leadership, because I had to make sure that everyone was meeting the deadlines, and I was the one who made the schedules at the time and the spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet is extremely important for this project because it included not only the inventory, but also we added in the ideas, and I also posted the summaries for the project to see our progress, our weekly progress. So for example, it's been mentioned before, but the week when we had coloring supplies, it wasn't extremely popular, so I was able to just highlight that issue, and then we decided to go towards more academic supplies in our baggies. And I definitely had improvements in communication skills. During this project, collaboration was a key feature, so communicating not only in person, but also on text. Also made sure that we were checking up on each other and making sure that baggies were made on time. And let's say I was sick and I couldn't check inventory, because that is my job, I would ask either one of the members, like, hey, can you please check the baggies inventory for me, and just let me know the number and I can enter it in the baggie.
For my personal growth, I had a more better understanding of like the simplicity of giving, because it's not very often that I like give out stuff just with like any reason. I also thought that it was kind of nice because it added like a little bit more positivity in my life, because it was nice seeing everyone's reactions to getting a little fidget or something from the bag, because they really liked it. So another thing was similar to Alana's importance of teamwork and communication. We had to like learn how to like communicate together and work together, but also not only with as a team, but also like with the other people around us, like people who are getting the supplies and the transportation.
One of the things I also learned was balancing independence and teamwork. I'm sure many of you guys experienced this in the past, where you're in a group activity and there's usually one or two people that shoulder all of the work, and it just leads to like unequal like work distribution, and that could get kind of frustrating. But working with amazing peers, I was able to learn the importance of trusting my teammates and relying on them, but also having enough responsibility on myself to do my own work. And I don't think I would have learned that so early on in my life if I had not been the Heart Project. And another thing I learned was understanding the broader implications of this project. Because when I first started, I originally thought, oh, we're just gonna make some supply or make some bags, and we're gonna give them out, and then people will feel more happy, they'll feel seen and stuff like that. But as time went on, I started becoming more involved. I see more people get our stuff, and that kind of really taught me that it's not just about making someone feel happy, but it's about creating a community and a safe place for someone to feel at home and harbor the growth of positive mental health, which is kind of what the Heart Project is about.
Similar to my fellow group members, I definitely saw a growth in communications and my communication skills. Before this project, I really only thought of communication within this that would be within my group members and perhaps to my teachers and the staff involved. However, I didn't really think that we required communication to the fellow environment that we were providing these supplies to. I may have mentioned this earlier, but we definitely saw a bit of a lower number in the first week of people grabbing the bags. And this was something I think I learned a lot about as I learned about the different levels of communication that are involved in a volunteering project. And if you're trying to make an impact in your community, you need to make sure that they understand what you're doing and why it is important. So this is definitely something I will take into my future endeavors. And I definitely also learned how to make an impact beyond the more physical work, as I've definitely done volunteering in the past, but it's been a lot more hands-on. For example, like cleaning up a river or other things like that. And I think that this was important as it was not just about making a physical impact, it's more about helping the overall community's mentality when it came to education. And we also recommend giving back to the community.
For me, one thing that I learned is that I enjoy giving back to the community, especially the library, since I grew up going to the library and borrowing books and using the resources there. So it's really important for me to give back to the community and seeing the teens there getting those supplies and being happy. I also learned that small actions can make a big change. When I started off this project, I thought that it's not going to make a big impact since some other volunteering things that I did was like cleaning up rivers, and those are kind of like bigger projects, but after doing the heart project I realized how our small actions such as making baggies can help improve other people's days and also spread awareness to mental health. And the last thing that I learned is that I would like to spread awareness in the future, especially since I want to pursue a career in healthcare, and I think this is really relevant to that.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and let's all make the world a kinder place by spreading love. Thank you.
It's more and more.
Hey guys, just got home and this is my makeup after a long day. But anyways, this is the there's a mosquito in my bathroom. This is the new setting spray that I'm using right now. I'm not sure if it's the right one because I just looked on TikTok and theirs has a clear lid and mine's a solid black one. But the ingredients in here is crazy. It says that it's butane and propane. Like, am I crazy or am I tripping? Look, literally. Like, what? Because when I spray myself, it was like burning a little bit. That's why, but my makeup still looks pretty good. A little bit greasy, but still good. And it's, let me use a napkin. Like, look, it's still there. It's coming off a little bit. But so far so good. So let's hope I don't ever smoke while using this because I don't want to blow up. But so far it's alright. I actually used like all the setting spray that I had. So I first went in with these two first. And then I went in with this one. But yeah, so far so good. The event went really, really good. So yeah, I'm about to take off my makeup and go to sleep. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in our next vlog. Look at you now.